got a 1082 HD camera.
Good morning, everyone. We'll get started, and thank you all for being here today. Boisterous crowd this early this morning. That's what happens when you have a coffee shop on the ground floor. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is a very good day, and before we get to some other reasons why it's a very good day, first of all, it's Commissioner Nick Fish's birthday. Happy birthday, Commissioner Nick. And I believe it's Commissioner Jules Bailey's first appearance as a slightly bleary-eyed new dad. So congratulations to you both. But this is a good day because we're going to take good care of the people of our city and of a city that we all love. And that's why I'm proud to be here with this partnership of housing and homeless advocates and service providers to take good care of people and take good care of the quality of life in our community. I'm very pleased to be here with Chair Kafuri, with other members of the Home for Everyone Executive Committee here with me that you'll be hearing from, and with Commissioner Nick Fish, who's led housing work in our community for a long time. We have this Home for Everyone structure. I hope you're all familiar with it by now. It's a consortium effort of the City of Portland, Multnomah County, the City of Gresham, Home Forward, our housing authority, and the Meyer Memorial Trust. It's the partnership that we need to actually make progress on housing. We've had this institution in place now for more than a year, and it's really starting to show results. So the members of that executive committee are here. Myself, Chair Kafuri, Commissioner Bailey, our City Housing Commissioner Dan Saltzman, Michael Bonacor from Home Forward, Matt Morton from NIA is also here, along with community members who serve on the Home for Everyone Coordinating Board, including Stacy Bork of Transition Projects, who chairs that board. A week ago, I called for the city of Portland to treat the housing and homelessness crisis here as a true emergency, and it is a true emergency. Today, I'm here to announce that Chair Kafuri and I have reached an agreement that will lead to $30 million of new funding to address housing and homelessness in our city. That money will be... That $30 million in new city and county resources will be dedicated to increased shelter, increased housing placements, and more affordable housing built through the Home for Everyone consortium. I don't think that we can solve all of Portland's homelessness or housing problems overnight, but if we're going to make real progress, we've got to recognize that this is a true emergency and that it affects tens of thousands of lives of people in our community who we can do a better job of serving than we have so far. For too long, I think we've stayed rooted in a realization that these problems can't be solved overnight. Some of them can't be, but I also want us to recognize that there are some things we can move quickly on and ask ourselves, what problems can we solve tonight? What problems can we solve this week? Which partners can we reach out to and get more people inside this month? And that sense of urgency empowers the idea of a declaration of emergency and of this commitment that you're seeing from all the partners involved in housing. So the goals of this investment are to establish some footholds where we can move quickly. Thanks to the Home for Everyone Coalition, we've already been making great progress on finding homes for our homeless veterans. In addition to finishing that work, I want us to make sure that we shelter as many women as we can, preferably before winter hits, and that we expand access to the continuum of housing that we need for people suffering from mental illness. Finally, I know Chair Kafuri and I want to see that we're moving the benchmarks on transition shelter, from people moving from transition, in transition from shelter to long-term housing. And we want to set a goal of cutting Portland's homelessness by half. That's a goal that I think this coalition and this partnership can reach together. So I'm going to ask each of our partners to flesh this out a little more, talk about how this is going to work, talk about some of their hopes and expectations, and I'm very pleased to introduce one of my partners in this great work, Chair. I know, the spirit of Gretchen is here. So, Chair Deborah Kafori. Sorry, Mark. So,
I am not Chair Kafori. My name is Mark Joel, and I am the Initiative Director for A Home for Everyone. And I'm going to take a few minutes to share with you some of the very specific things that we think we can accomplish with the state of emergency and with this investment. When A Home for Everyone was formed more than a year ago, we knew that coordinating the resources of the cities of Gresham and Portland, Home Forward, our federal partners, our partners in the business and faith community, would improve the services and the outcomes that we provide for homeless people in our community. Working together, we produced action plans, 5 of them, which if fully implemented would allow us to reduce by half the number of people who sleep on our streets every night. That was in March. What we didn't know even less than a year ago, when we adopted those action plans, is the depth of the crisis in our housing market, and that it would disrupt so many people's lives so quickly, with many more people becoming homeless than we've previously experienced, with rents climbing more than 40% over the same 4-year period that the real wages of low-wage families continue to decrease. Thousands of new people are becoming homeless in our community this year. And the lack of affordable vacancies has made finding housing an almost insurmountable challenge for a growing number of families. One result of this is that we saw a 42% increase in the number of people who used our emergency shelters just this last year. So even using the investments, put this down, even using the stepped up investments and the strategies in our action plans, and even being able to house more people last year than we have ever housed before in this community, over 3,500 people. We know from the data and from what we see on our streets every day that if we don't take dramatic action, we will not be able to reduce the number of people suffering homelessness in our community in a significant way. We have to be able to implement our strategies and scale our strategies right now. And that is what the state of emergency and this $30 million investment will allow us to do. First, we're going to increase shelter capacity in our system. Our first goal is always to help someone who is homeless get back into a permanent place to live. But in this market, where it is taking months and months, even under the best of circumstances, for someone to find a permanent place to live, we have to have more safety off the street options for women and people with disabilities in this community. These investments will allow us to create the projected 650 additional units that we need. Second, we can start to do more on the prevention end. We know that the best way to end homelessness is to not allow it to happen in the first place. With these dollars, we'll be able to help at least 1,000 additional people avoid losing their housing. We'll support Commissioner Saltzman's proposals to increase the notice requirements on no-cause evictions and rent increases. And we'll work with legal aid to create a team, a tenant protection team, to make sure that tenants' rights are being enforced in our community. And finally, we're going to help more people get off the streets and back into permanent housing. The best shelter and the only solution to homelessness is permanent housing. With these dollars, we will be able to help 1,300 additional women, children, and people with disabilities move off the street and out of our shelters into permanent housing. We'll make a $10 million investment in new units that are accessible to homeless people and people who are at imminent risk of homelessness. This is an incredibly exciting day. I can't thank all of the executive committee members, the chair, the mayor, the leadership, and the partners in this community enough for making this possible. And now I'm going to turn it over to 2 community leaders, the co-chairs of our coordinating board, Stacy Bork and Matt Moore.
Stacy Bork, Director of Housing Services with Transition Projects. We all serve on a Home for Everyone board because we know this partnership is bringing together the right people to do this job, and it plays a crucial role in addressing homelessness in our community. This is a partnership that represents the nonprofits who provide shelter and help people find permanent housing, business leaders dedicated to helping our community, and the voices of people sleeping on our streets. With city and county leaders working with us, we know that this partnership is the best way to make sure that we're all pulling in the same direction and that everything our community is doing to help those people experiencing homelessness is fully integrated into a comprehensive plan. We want to thank the mayor and the chair for making this commitment today. It shows us and our entire community that we have leaders who truly care about making a difference in the lives of people sleeping outside. With that, I want to introduce my colleague, Matt Morton, Executive Director of the Native American Youth and Family Center.
As Stacy mentioned, my name is Matt Morton. I'm the Executive Director of the Native American Youth and Family Center, and I have an opportunity and the privilege really to co-chair the Home for Everyone Coordinating Board with her. We are, in the coordinating board, a collection of service providers, jurisdiction staff, business leaders, faith leaders, and concerned citizens, most importantly, and also philanthropists. With strategy and intention, we've made recommendations to our executive committee that stress the urgency of the housing crisis that's affecting our most vulnerable in our community, both those that are historically vulnerable and those, as Mark mentioned earlier, are emerging. We cannot underestimate the importance and the impact of today's announcement. For those of us on the front lines, too often our narrative has been about Portland can do better, we can do better. And today is an example of what better is going to look like. I want to thank our board, our executive director, Mark, the executive committee, and of course, Mayor Hales and Chair Kafori. But most importantly, I want to thank the Portland community, both housed and unhoused, who've offered us push and patience. Here's to Portland once again proving that we are an incubator for social change. And I want to introduce our Director of our Housing Authority Home Forward, Mr. Michael Warner.
Good morning, my name is Michael Bonacor. I'm the Executive Director of Home Forward. Since the creation of A Home for Everyone, we have believed that it represented the opportunity to show the community that we can work differently with each other and across sectors to really change the picture of homelessness here.